Maddox was a genius on the mound.
You may think baseball is all about athleticism and speed, but Maddox made it about thinking. His mental capacity was out of this world, almost inhuman at times. The guy knew the strike zone better than the umpires. In fact, he could tell by your body language what pitch you were expecting and then gave you the opposite.
But Maddox didn't just pitch. He studied hitters like a scientist in a lab. He was so good that he remembered what you did on a Tuesday night in May 2 years ago.
He'd make it look like he was setting you up for a fastball, but guess what? He'd drop a two-seamer that ran in on your hands and shattered your bat like it was made of glass.
Most pitchers throw with power, but Maddox threw with purpose. He used movement and location better than anyone else. And even though his fastball barely cracked 88, it danced like it had a life of its own. He could make the ball sink, fade, or tail, depending on how he gripped it. And because he never missed his spots, batters had no choice but to swing. Trust me when I say you won't see that level of control again. Not now, not ever. Let's not even argue. Maddox's numbers are insane. He won a total of 355 games. That's more than Tom Glavine, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, and Justin Verlander. He also struck out over 3,300 hitters and walked barely over 999 in his entire career. His career ERA sits at a ridiculous 3.16, and that's over 23 seasons. He pitched over 5,000 innings and never looked tired. You won't believe this, but from 1992 to 1995, he had a combined ERA under 2.00. And remember, he did this during the steroid era when guys were hitting bombs like it was batting practice. Now here's where it gets even crazier. Maddux faced over 20,000 batters and only 310 of them ever saw a 3-0 count. That means most guys didn't even get the chance to work the count. He just attacked the zone every time, and more than half of those 310 were intentional walks. Think about that. In more than 2 decades, he almost never fell behind. That's freakish. He won 4 straight Cy Young Awards. People throw around the term dominance a lot, but Maddux redefined it. From 1992 to 1995, he won the Cy Young Award 4 years in a row, and these weren't sympathy trophies. He earned every single one of them. His ERA during those years was so low you'd think he was playing in the dead ball era. And again, this was the juiced ball 90s. Everyone was mashing except the guys facing Greg Maddux. Maddux thread barn win he was an ear as a Space One witness. East 6 facing DCB win V's. Everyone was very consonant for the East said. He didn't just win, he embarrassed hitters. He made all-stars look like rookies. And he did it while making it look boring. No fist pumps, no chest thumps, just precision and calm. He'd get a double play, walk off the mound like it was lunch break, and start preparing for the next inning. Testing states will need the develops references. 18 gold gloves. Says everything. Pitchers don't usually get praised for their defense, but Maddux treated defense like a personal challenge. He won 18 gold gloves during his career. You heard me right, 18. He was basically a fifth infielder who also happened to be the smartest pitcher alive. He fielded bunts like a shortstop, turned double plays, and covered first base better than most first basemen. He knew exactly where to be before the ball was even hit. So much that you couldn't surprise him. You couldn't trick him either, as he was always 5 steps ahead. And here's something wild. Most pitchers panic when a ball gets hit back at them. But Maddux used it as a chance to show off. He'd barehand it, flip it, or make a smooth glove toss like he was playing catch with his kid. He made defense part of his domination, and that's just another reason why he's on another level. He was ridiculously efficient. Pitch count wasn't a big deal when Maddux pitched, but even if it was, he wouldn't have cared. He could finish a complete game with under 90 pitches. That's so rare they actually gave it a nickname. A Maddux. You know you're special when the game names a stat after you. He wasn't just throwing strikes. He was throwing strikes that turned into groundouts and weak pop flies. He kept his infielders busy, and he got through games fast. For real, some of his outings barely crossed 2 hours. Now, you may think efficiency is boring, but in baseball, it's pure gold. He didn't waste time, and he didn't nibble around the corners hoping for a swing. He came right at you. and by the time you figured out what he was doing, you were back in the dugout. His control was unmatched. Some pitchers have good control, but Maddox had laser-guided precision. No jokes. He could hit the same spot 10 times in a row with different pitches. He even made umpires look bad sometimes because he was more accurate than they were. Catchers said they didn't even need to move their gloves because he'd hit it every single time. The way he manipulated the strike zone was unreal. He knew which umpire liked the low strike. He knew who gave the outside corner, and he used that knowledge like a weapon. He'd paint the edges until the hitter gave up. If you tried to adjust, he'd just move the ball a few inches and make you look foolish. That kind of command doesn't come from raw talent. It comes from endless hours of practice, study, and total obsession with getting it right. That's what made him so deadly. You couldn't wait him out. You couldn't wear him down. And he never made the mistake first. He mastered the mental game. This is where Maddux really separated himself from the rest. He wasn't just throwing baseballs. He was inside your head before you even stepped into the box. He remembered your habits, your tendencies, and your body language. If you swung hard on the first pitch last time, he'd throw you a changeup the next time. And if you looked uncomfortable with the inside fastball, he'd live there all day. Some players tried to guess what he was going to throw, but you couldn't outguess him because he was already guessing your guess before you guessed it. He was like a trap, as he made hitters second-guess everything. And once you started thinking instead of reacting, it was over. People say baseball is a mental game. Well, Maddox turned it into a psychological warfare, and he won that war almost every time. He owned the steroid era without steroids. Here's the thing. Maddox didn't just pitch in the steroid era, he dominated it. Because while guys were crushing 50 homers with arms the size of tires, he was shutting them down with finesse. He didn't need muscles. He needed movement and location, and he made juiced hitters swing like they were using broomsticks. And let's be honest, he never got caught up in the mess. No scandals whatsoever, just clean, consistent brilliance. That's important, because while others were chasing power, Maddox stayed true to his craft. He didn't need shortcuts. He relied purely on skill, and it paid off. Longevity, that's just ridiculous. Most pitchers fade after 10 years. Their arms go dead, their velocity drops, and they lose their edge. But not Maddox. He pitched for 23 seasons, and even in his late 30s, he was still giving hitters nightmares. He adjusted as he aged, he added more movement, he changed speeds more often, and he used his brain even more. His durability was just insane. He actually threw more than 200 innings for 17 straight seasons. Just think about that. 17 years of going deep into games and staying healthy. That kind of consistency is almost mythical. He didn't just flash greatness, he lived in it. He earned everyone's respect. You may think fans loved him, but even the players and coaches who faced him respected him deeply. Hitters knew they were in for a long day. Catchers loved working with him, and managers trusted him completely. He led by example, as he never showed up opponents, and never acted bigger than the game. He was humble, but confident. He didn't care about fame or flashy headlines. He just cared about getting the job done and helping his team win. He let his pitching do all the talking, and man, did it talk loud. He changed the way people think about pitching. Before Maddox, pitching was mostly about overpowering guys. After Maddox, people started realizing how important movement, control, and pitch sequencing really are. He influenced an entire generation of pitchers. As coaches started teaching location over velocity, analysts started tracking command stats, and players started watching film more closely. Because Maddox showed that if you're smart enough and sharp enough, you can beat anyone. He didn't just play the game, he changed it. He turned the pitcher's mound into a classroom and gave everyone a lesson they'd never forget. How does he compare to other greats? Now let's put Maddox side by side with the other legends. You know, names like Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, and Sandy Koufax. Even modern guys like Clayton Kershaw and Justin Verlander. Sure, they all had their moments, but when you really dig into it, you'll see Maddox wasn't just in the conversation, he was quietly sitting at the head of the table the whole time. Let's start with stats. Nolan Ryan had the strikeouts, over 5,700 of them, but he also had over 2,700 walks and a career ERA over 3. Ryan was a power machine, no doubt, but he walked more guys in a season than Maddox did in 5. Randy Johnson threw absolute fire and made hitters look silly, but he didn't really take off until his 30s. As for Pedro, he was electric and untouchable in his prime, but his career was shorter. And Koufax? Legendary peak, but injuries shut him down early. And guys like Kershaw and Verlander? As great as they've been, they're still chasing numbers Maddox had locked in before he hit 40. Now let's talk about teams. Maddox pitched for the Cubs, Braves, Padres, and Dodgers, but those Braves teams in the 90s were stacked. He had Glavine, Smoltz, and that rock-solid defense behind him. Still, don't get it twisted, he didn't ride coattails, he was the ace among aces. He led that rotation and made it look easy. And when he left Atlanta, he kept dealing. You could drop him on any team, and he'd deliver the same pinpoint dominance. Impact-wise, Maddox changed everything. He didn't just pitch, he was an inspiration. He gave hope to every kid who couldn't throw 100. He proved you could outthink talent, and he forced hitters, coaches, and even umpires to adjust. Other pitchers scared you, but Maddox confused you, and once he had you thinking, you were done. That's the difference. Others amazed you. Maddox humbled you. And that's what makes his greatness untouchable. But of course, some people will still argue for other names. Maybe it's Nolan Ryan with his strikeouts, maybe Pedro with his fire, maybe Koufax with his dominance. But when you put everything on the table, Maddox checks every box and more. He has the numbers, he has the awards, he has the brains, he has the consistency, and he did it all clean. Greg Maddux is the kind of player you show your kid when they ask how to pitch. Not because he threw hard, but because he threw smart. Because he cared about every detail. And because he did it the right way every single time. That's why he's not just one of the best, he's the greatest. Period. But if you disagree, head to the comments and tell us who your GOAT is. Subscribe to our channel while you're at it, and we'll see you in the next video.